All right, guys, happy Monday. Again, I was saying this, we have a call every Monday at 9 a.m., or not every Monday, every second Monday with our students. And the people that are going to be hopping on here, I want to just appreciate you guys because 10 a.m. on a Monday is not an easy thing to dive into mindset. And it hasn't been an easy thing for us, but over time, we've been able to allow us to like things like this and be involved, be busy on Mondays. And what we've realized, and we chatted about this last week, to do a quick little recap, preparing on a Sunday so that you can prime your mind for your Monday. Having a busy Monday will allow you to have a very strong week moving forward. So again, the ones that are taking time out of their day, we already have 8 participants on here to learn a little bit more about us and everything along those lines. We appreciate you immensely. So to kind of dive into things, we're going to be making today's topic around chronotypes and how to take advantage of the specific chronotype you are. So this is a perfect segue. If you guys are a private student within the FBA startup, we're doing a 14-day challenge right now. We're actually going to be able to take advantage of working within certain timeframes depending on who you are as a person. So what we're going to do today is kind of give you an overview of different chronotypes. And more so, we'll drive you to a link to take what we call the Power of One quiz. And this will allow you to go ahead and understand what those chronotypes are. What we're going to do today is just help you understand the chronotypes in terms of what kind of timetable you should work on within a day and why it's very advantageous to go ahead and work within that.
Yeah, the one thing I like to say about chronotypes is, it's funny, but before Brian and I even learned about chronotypes, we were already doing what our chronotype was doing. Why? Because naturally, when you are in high performance mode, if you're wanting to get a lot of work done, you find what works best for you. Meaning, you find the areas that work best for you to get the best work done. We'll chat more about it, but we categorize that as deep work and shallow work. So shallow work being, tasks that don't necessarily need our full attention, but need to get done throughout a day. Right? You can be maybe listening to music during that period of time or being in a room with somebody. And then deep work, which is should be the most effective portion of your day. This is where, it's just you. You have as minimal tabs, as minimal things on your screen, as little distraction as humanly possible so that you can get the stuff done that needs to be done. The stuff that's that needs your full attention, right? So when we think about deep work, we think about, what are the things in our business that we need to do that need my full attention, right? That could be some form of planning, that could be some form of building out particular content, right? We need full attention to that, and why we do it in a deep work block is because what we find is that in a deep work block, I typically do mine between an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending if I have any meetings that are coming up. But in a deep work block, I'm able to get, let's say, 4 hours of work done in a shorter period of time, right? You're just focused and, tunnel vision on what you need to get done, and you make it a priority is really what it comes down to. So on that topic there, what we're going to do is explain a little bit more about the different chronotypes, what makes each one unique, and, maybe you'll start understanding a little bit more about which one you are, but like Brian had mentioned, there's a quiz that can actually tell you based off of the actions that you take in a day that will give you a good understanding as to, whether you're a bear or a lion or a dolphin.
Yeah, so I think the biggest differentiator is, to be honest, when you wake up. Like, when is your body awake? When do you wake up every single morning naturally? Or when have you, what kind of routine have you built out to be able to wake up at X time? That is probably the biggest differentiator that we're going to talk about today, because again, when you take this quiz, it'll actually allow you to go through a lot more of the behaviors and actions and tasks that you do in a day to help you understand what chronotype you are. But there are 4 different chronotypes. We got 1, a lion. A lion typically wakes up between 6 to 7 a.m. Okay, they're more of the early birds, so to speak. We have a bear. Myself, I'm a bear. 7 to 8 a.m. wake up time. So I've been getting up at 7 for a really long time, and before I took this quiz, it was weird how it works, but it allowed me to actually put into perspective, hey, like, I wake up these times, what are my best times moving forward within the day that I can take advantage of to take advantage of my shallow work, my deep work, and things along those lines. Our next one is a wolf. Typically wake up between 7:30 to 10 a.m. And then a dolphin typically wakes up from 6:30 a.m. to an 8 a.m. wake up time. Okay, so I want to ask yourself this: what time do you wake up as? And you can kind of slowly categorize yourself for the rest of this conversation here. But again, there are other factors that come into play. So what we're gonna do is drop the link. Brooke, if you're tuning in, would love for you to drop the Power of One quiz into the comments here so people can actually dive into it after this call. I encourage you to stay with us right now. But all said and done, I'm gonna go through each one of these chronotypes, okay? So a lion typically wakes up between 6 to 7 a.m. Between 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., this is where you're most productive, meaning you're focusing on some form of deep work, okay? That doesn't mean you have to work and do deep work for that full 4 hours. In fact, we only typically do a 2-hour period of deep work, and even more so, within the other 2 hours that we do, we'll go ahead and do things like meditation, our workouts, things along those lines, things that require your full attention, that require you to be in your zone and by yourself. From 12 to 4 p.m., this is your creativity time, okay? From 4 to 9 p.m., this is typically, at 4 o'clock, you want to shut off your work and you want to start to unwind and relax. From 9 to 10 p.m. is typically when you're going to want to fall asleep, and then you're sleeping again over an 8-hour period, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Okay, so that is our lion. Our next is our bear. So we're both bears. This is the schedule that we follow. We wake up between 7 and 8 a.m., okay? Between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., we focus on deep work. So my schedule is 10 to 12. That's when I do my deep work, other than right now, but this does require my full attention. Between 2 to 4 p.m., this is more creativity time. So I like to do my shallow work within these specific time periods because I can't get distracted. I can't let my mind go and, just think of ideas and then, start working on that idea as soon as it comes into mind, okay? From 4 to 10 p.m., finish my day at 4 o'clock. 10 p.m., we're starting to, or 4 to 10 p.m., we're relaxing and we're unwinding. 10 to 11 p.m. is our typical nighttime routine, and then I'm in bed by 11 p.m. Sometimes I'm in bed a little bit sooner than that. I'm even more so maybe working towards more of a lion. So I think that's something really important to note, that over time, you start to build habits and you want to challenge yourself. You want to wake up earlier. You want to do things so that you can maybe move into a different chronotype. So one thing to be very cognitive of is you will evolve as you start to implement more and more of these things. Our next is our wolf, like I said. Wakes up between 7:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. Between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., that's more of their creativity time. You see how that works? It's different in terms of the structure. If you're waking up later, you're typically doing your creativity things first, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and then after that, you have a 2-hour block to do deep work. 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. is what is suggested to do deep work. From 2 to 9 p.m., it dives back into creative time, okay? That's a 7-hour period. From 9 to 10 p.m., you relax and you unwind. From 10 to 12 a.m., you're doing some form of nighttime routine, and then from 12 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., you're typically sleeping. And then last but not least, our dolphin wakes up between 6:30 and 8 a.m., creativity time is between 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Deep work time is between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Goes back into creativity time between 12 to 4 p.m. You relax and you unwind between 4 to 10. Nighttime routine between 10 to 11:30. And then your sleep is between 11:30 to 6:30. So you can see they're all very, very different. But again, I think hitting the nail on the head that you will evolve over time and you want to evolve. Again, I'm a bear right now because I like to wake up between 7 and 8 a.m., but I would love to move to a lion to be able to wake up between 6 and 7 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you go through that quiz, you'll understand why you can change, right? It's all based off of actions, right? And all of that stifles from when you wake up, when you think you do the best work, so on and so forth. So I dropped the link there under Brian's account to be able to do that quiz. And that's kind of the first step in understanding a little bit more about how chronotypes work and how you can better optimize to how that essentially will. Why is it important? Well, it just means that you're able to do more productive things during the time periods where you should be doing that work, right? If you work to this, I guarantee it, you give it a month of doing stuff towards your chronotype, like actually working within your blocks, you'll see the difference of it, right? It's funny how the mind works, but it's exactly how. It's like a calculation, so.
Yeah. So one thing that I encourage you guys all to do is try this out for a 2-week period. Try this out and see how different it's going to allow you to be in terms of your day, in terms of who you are as a person. But just keep in mind that, it may evolve and it may change. I'd like to talk about my experience with it, working within these timeframes and how I kind of went about making sure that I'm following within my time frame. So I kept it simple, plain and sweet. What I did was I put my shallow work, I put my deep work, my creativity times, whatever you want to call it, within calendar. I then, so for example, I'll pull up my calendar right now. Between 10 to 12, I go ahead and I do deep work. Between 3 to 5, I go ahead and I do shallow work, which allows, more of that creativity spark, things that, aren't necessarily necessary, but allows me to spark, imagination, inspiration, and some new ideas that I can maybe implement into maybe more deep work down the road. I wake up at 7 a.m. Between 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., I am doing my workouts. I'm doing my meditation. I'm doing personal development. I'm doing small things that will allow me to be in the best state possible for me to literally take my deep work session by the bull, or take the bull by its horns and literally just take full advantage of that opportunity. When it comes to deep work, make sure it's full deep work. If you guys haven't read the book called Deep Work by Cal Newport, it's amazing, and it really dives into the benefits of it and how to kind of get into those different states, okay? And then, between 12 to 3, again, there's a lot of gaps in here. Between 12 to 3 o'clock, what I'm typically doing is I'm doing meetings. So I have a lot of my one-on-ones, team meetings, things along those lines, and making sure that I have time in my day. When I finish up at 5 o'clock, that's when I'm gonna unwind, I'm gonna relax. I do my nighttime routine starting at 9:30 up until 10:30, and then I'm lights off 10:30, fall asleep by 11 o'clock, wake up at 7 o'clock. It works so great for me. It's been absolutely amazing, but I think it really starts with just understanding what these time blocks are and taking full advantage of them.
Exactly. Not in the same way. Brian and I are both bears, and I do pretty much basically what he had said. I think I have a shorter morning routine block, and I get to the office a little bit earlier sometimes. So, do what works best. What's the difference between deep work and shallow work? Yeah, absolutely. So deep work requires your full attention. Like, you don't want any distractions. Me being the COO of our businesses, I do process building in that period of time, basically. I do anything that allows me to build the business and be within the business. 1 second here, we got a dog going crazy. Can you just check that, Jaden? And then shallow work is, that creativity time, right? You're doing stuff that's more miscellaneous, stuff that you need to get done, stuff where you can be around. You can be around people doing, for instance. It doesn't require your full attention. You can prance around and not be as dedicated to it per se. It's a little bit more flexible. It's not as rigid as deep work. Deep work is specifically made so
you're committed to something.
You're committed to something in a certain period of time, and you're doing something that requires, again, that full attention. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So just think of deep work as things to move your business forward. Think of shallow work as things that could potentially create things for you to do deep work on. You literally use it as not only miscellaneous tasks, but I also use it as an area for me to just think of ideas. And I do like to be around people in that scenario, because whenever I think of that idea, I like to get their perspective on things. Mm-hmm. Where deep work, a lot of people will literally put in earplugs or they'll put in headphones and they'll just dial in with one tab open, or have a book or a journal in front of them of some sort, and they're just talking to themselves, doing work by themselves. So I think those are the biggest differentiations between the two. And when you can understand those, and when you can understand taking advantage of those within the time frame of your chronotype, trust me when I say this, your productivity level is gonna skyrocket within the day. I say this, and I had a mentorship call or a mentorship meeting in person with one of our teammates, and he was someone that likes to work really, really hard, meaning he was working 14, 15, 16-hour days on the weekends for us because he wanted to make sure that we were happy, which we love by all means. But one thing that I can say in confidence is if you're not taking advantage of your day from a productivity standpoint,
you'll be underproductive.
You'll be underproductive, exactly. So what I'm trying to say is understand what works best for you in terms of your schedule and take full advantage of those periods, for one. For two, doing more work over a longer period of time doesn't necessarily mean you're more productive, you're doing more work. It's counterintuitive because, why? Your mind, as soon as you start to do too much work, you're not taking breaks for yourself, for example. If you're not working in peak states, for example, all that's gonna do is create fog within your mind, and that fog is gonna decrease your output. Not only, you're gonna get frustrated more, you're gonna create bad quality work, where instead you can cut that time in half, do more work within good periods of time, and what that allows you to do at the end of the day is produce higher quality of work and maybe less, but higher quality that will probably get you better results. And I can speak to that for lengths because we were exactly the same way. We used to work 14, 16-hour days, come home, work on our Amazon business, working crazy, crazy hours. And once we realized that, taking time for ourselves and working within a schedule, the impact of it, we escalated our lives significantally.
Yeah, exactly. And as cliche as it sounds, it's working smarter, not harder, right? That's the biggest principle that you need to understand. Again, just like Brian had mentioned, especially when we were trying to quit our jobs and all that kind of stuff, we were working 7 days a week, but you quickly realize that you burn out, and burnout is not a pretty feeling. It's not fun by any means. That can set you back big time. So if you can prevent that and be more proactive, it allows you over a longer period of time to get more work done and better work done at the same time as well. I'd rather not half-ass anything anymore. I'd rather just give my full attention to it. If I'm feeling like something is off with me, like if I'm feeling sick, I go and I take that rest. Why? Because I know if I don't do it, it's going to catch up with me, right? Take that right away, grab the bull by its horn, as Brian says, and just make sure that you go head full force into it. Okay?
Absolutely.
Lakshmi has a thing here. What about if you work most of the day? If you work most of the day and that works for you, sure, but I would encourage you to try to take breaks during the day. And also find areas of time where you do the best work, and that way you can focus on the most needle moving things in your business or in your life or in your work, so that you can excel at a quicker pace.
Yeah, I think what she's referring to is what if she's working a day job, something that you're bound to a schedule. Great question. I would still encourage you to just understand those things. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't know how much freedom you have within your job. If you're working at McDonald's, for example, you are technically bound to the same tasks almost every single day. So you really can't take advantage of those things. But if you work within an office or some form of administrative job, still plan out your schedule on when you can do deep work. So understand, every single day when I work corporate, I would still have a to-do list every single day. I would have time blocks for making calls. I would have time blocks for entering data. I would have time blocks for having meetings. All of these things, structure them in buckets and just enter every single one of those buckets with a different state depending on what time frame that is, depending on the chronotype that you are. So it really depends on the job, is what I'll say. Again, construction labor, you're not gonna be able to do that. But one thing that you can do is try to stretch yourself. So for example, if I'm working construction and I know that my deep work session is between 10 to 12 p.m., maybe I throw headphones in or something along those lines. That may not be the most safe thing on a construction site by all means, but try to find ways that allows you to get into different states, right? Allows you to be in a deep work state, allows you to be in a more creative state. Things along those lines, and again, the end goal with that, in my opinion, is just priming your mind and making habitual decisions and behaviors throughout your day-to-day so that when you do have full control of your schedule, which I hope everybody on here wants to have full control of their schedule, you're gonna be able to hop into that a lot more effectively. Leonardo had a question here. What consists in your guys' morning or night routine, and when do you guys typically read books, and how many do you guys go through in a week? Wow, I don't read books in a week, I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go through my morning routine. So this is what I do. I actually I have it written down in my Remarkable. But I wake up at 7 a.m. Okay, from 7 to 7:30, I'm doing cardio on my Peloton. From 7:30 to 7:50, I'm doing spiritual work. So from there, what I'm doing is usually 10 minutes of breath work and then 10 minutes of journal, as well as I write my goals out. After that, I do 20 minutes of some form of personal development. Specifically for me, I'm right now within the Think and Grow Rich course. So I'm listening to a course, and I'm taking notes. So that's my morning routine. I then follow it with a cold shower, take my dog out for a walk, get ready, and then I hop into the office. My nighttime routine is where I do my reading. So what I typically do is I unwind around 9:30. I actually do my nighttime routine in bed because the things that I do for my nighttime routine all put me in a state of trying to fall asleep essentially. So what I do is I have the 5-minute gratitude journal. So I'll finish up my day and I'll do some gratitude. I'll recap on my day, I'll reflect on my day. I'll also journal and reflect again on the hardships, the things that went well, right? Putting and framing my mind that like, hey, the day is done. I'm putting that in the past. The day is done. I'm putting the successes so that I can continue to have those successes in the future. I'm priming my mind. After that, what I'll go ahead and do is I'll do a little bit of self-love. Again, that comes back to gratitude. And then I'll read. And I'll read. I don't have a time frame for it, but I'll read until I start to doze off and get tired. And then from there, I listen to usually an audio of some sort. That audio of some sort is some form of unwinding meditation. And then from there, I fall asleep.
I have a very similar morning routine. My morning routine consists of, so I wake up at 6:45. I go to bed at 11 o'clock. At 6:45, I wake up. I will brush my teeth, wash my face, just wake myself up for the little bit. I'll chug basically, I have a water bottle that I sleep with, and I chug the rest of the water bottle. A lot of the times it's about 2 glasses of water. I'll take my vitamins as well at that same time. That kind of wakes me up, right? I also open up the blinds so that I can restart my circadian rhythm, just get used to it being light out, especially now. It's very nice that it's light out when I wake up. First thing that I do is I go into, I meditate and I do breath work. That's the first thing that I do. And then I go and I read and review all of my goals for the day. Not just for the day, but my yearly goals, my weekly goals, all that kind of stuff. So I review all of that. I read my goal and mission statements as well to myself, and I'll typically do it in the mirror, and I'll talk with passion as well. After that, I'll go into my learning state, where I'll just do 20 minutes of some form of learning. Sometimes it's reading or listening into a program. I'm also going through the TGR program that Brian's going through. And then after that, I go and actually work out. Now, I don't work out every single morning. Sometimes I go at nighttime. Like Tuesdays, for instance, I go at nighttime. Monday, I usually do in the morning, but this morning, for instance, I had to be in the office for 8:30. And then the other thing I do as part of my morning routine, after I get ready, I get into the office, so on and so forth, or getting ready to go to the office, is I actually listen to an audiobook or a podcast on my way to work, right? Why? Because when you're first waking up, before you are obsessed with work or consumed with work, our mind is still in that state of being able to learn and consume and learn. So I do everything as much as I can to start taking information in. And then my nighttime routine, I actually put my phone down around 6:30. Very rarely will I go and pick it up, but 6:30, and then at 9 p.m. is really when I start winding down. So I'll do all of my nighttime stuff. So whether or not I might take, hop into the shower or hop into the shower, maybe take a bath, whatever cools me down depending on what my day actually looked like. And then as part of my nighttime routine, I'm actually reading a book. I'm not listening to a book. So I read. I also review how my day had went. On Sundays, I review how my whole week had went and if I achieved the goals for the week. And then I also, on Sundays, I actually plan, hey, this is what I want to make sure I get done for the week. I think that's very important. We talk about goal setting a lot. You have these annual goals or these long-term goals. Well, the idea is that you want to make them smaller so that they're more attainable, right? They're more achievable. I always listen to meditation music to fall asleep. I just chat with my girlfriend at night, and we just wind down and don't do a lot. We try to stay away from screens. Every now and then we might put on a Marvel movie or something like that, but that's more so the weekends that we like to watch stuff on the television, because blue light's really bad for you at nighttime. It can actually mess up your sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Leonardo, I had another question here. Speaking of daily programs like Think and Grow Rich, do you guys have any recommendations where I can go to follow? Last question. Go to follow as in like social profiles? In terms of social profiles to follow, like I would just think of the big people out in the space, the Andy Frisellas, the Ed Milet's. There's a lot of motivational based pages. Go follow the Zap Twins if you don't as well, of course. We post a lot of great content around mindset and motivation. But all said and done, there's, in my opinion, you can go on Udemy, and there's a lot of good things on Udemy around mindset, yes, but it's better to just pay for things like that. Personally, I think the Think and Grow Rich course is like $500 or something like that, and it is freaking amazing. I'm learning a lot. It comes with a workbook that you can literally just write within it. It's great. It's awesome.
Except it's much more expensive. Yeah, and regardless, if what I would actually recommend you do is read the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
It's basically what we're learning is that book in modules, in video content.
Yeah, absolutely. Learning, I like to learn in multiple different ways. Not only reading and putting it through my mind. I retain a lot there, but I don't retain the most. So right after that, I'll listen to like an audio take notes of some sort, whether that be a course or listening into the book in an audio version, all said and done, like I like to learn things multiple times because I want it ingrained in my mind. Super powerful when you can understand that, and every single person is gonna learn differently, auditory, visually, by actually reading. There's so many different ways to learn. What we say, what we do works best for us, and we've been able to adopt that over the past 5-6 years within our personal development journey. All I can say for you guys is figure out what works, meaning try different things, try things that have made other people successful, adopt what works, stop doing what doesn't work. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. Cool, guys. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one. I encourage you all to go do the Power of One quiz. If you guys want to take advantage of the challenge that we're doing within our private group, feel free to reach out to us. We will send you what that looks like. But realistically, what it is starts today, ends 2 weeks from today. And then what you're essentially going to do is literally just figure out what your chronotype is and work within those hours, meaning you're doing your nighttime routine within the hours, you're doing your deep work session within the hours, you're doing your creativity time within the hours. All of those little things, make sure you stay consistent with it so that over the next 2 weeks, after you reflect on that journey, you understand like, hey, this works great for me. I'm gonna go ahead and adopt this and build out a schedule that works for me.
All right, guys, have a good one. Enjoy the Monday, crush it, and have a great week.